Whoops. I am my own producer. I'm telling you, it's dangerous. Well, hi, welcome to Boost Live. My name is John Nelson, the plugin CEO of JKL Works and Plugin Business, which is final revisions. There's only one thing to fix on that website, and we're going to have a big launch party for it. It'll be fun. But nonetheless, I appreciate you checking this out and spending a little time with us today. We're really going through our 5 core principles that help kind of make what we do different than what you're going to come across a lot of places out there. We spent a lot of time talking about foundations. We talked a lot about getting more leads, how to get more leads, and how to make that really work for you. And now it's time to talk about getting more conversions. Okay, so we're going to spend our time doing that here for just a little bit. So conversions, of course, are what comes, no matter how many people you get to pay attention to you, conversion is them actually saying yes to what you offer. So I want to go through and offer some things that I hope will help, make sense, that it will help, you to increase those conversions and really help people to come alongside here. And I apologize in advance. We're doing a little bit different eating plan for nutrition and a lot of different things, and so I'm dragging a little bit today. So I don't know about you all, but we're going to get through this. It'll be good. And I could show that I'm cheating on for my coaches. Steve and I have coaches on the World Wide Web, but I'm not going to do that. So anyway, I digress. All right, so let's talk about this thing about getting conversions and how to really do this, and hopefully some ideas, some different things to throw your way, some different opportunities here as to why this might make sense here. So let me make a quick. I keep doing that. Okay, well, it's live. What are you gonna do? All right, so I'm gonna move my mouse out the way at least. All right, so what are we going to talk about this time? We are going to talk about, of course, the ideas of conversions, and I wanted to make sure, just so everybody knew what was on the table here, of the different things we're going to discuss. So why conversions matter, why invest the time and effort in your conversions, and making sure they make sense, other than the obvious. Okay, I know there's an obvious thing there, but there's a little more to it than that. Then we're going to talk about some different types here. The compelling offer that we spent a lot of time on last time. If you watched our interview with Chris Wayne from Black Sky Digital, we talked a lot about this. But then we're going to add in drip campaigns. We're going to add in customer reactivation, which you will actually see again later, and because it has a dual role. When we start talking about more transactions, it's certainly there to bring things back to life that have been dormant. But that same dormancy applies to prospects. If you had prospects that didn't work out, if you had different things that were, didn't work out like you wanted, there may be an opportunity to reach back out to them if you update what it is that you have, or you change some of your messaging that really makes more sense for them. And then you can add them back, and you can maybe make some hay there where you might not have been able to before. So we're going to talk about it as a strategy for getting more conversions. Then finally, we're going to spend some time on your sales process and the sales team and the concepts around closing sales, and when that can happen, when that cannot happen. So I hope you'll check this out, and it's something that is meaningful and impactful for you. So let's get going. So why should we have conversions other than the absolute obvious answer, right? Because of course you want more sales. Who doesn't want more sales, right? So there are reasons. So I mean, it's obviously it's the bring a horse to water thing, which I was struggling to explain to figure out where the AI that I was playing with that brought this up, where they got the horses from. Well, bring a horse to water, right? This is the concept of you get all the leads, you bring them in, you get them ready to go, and as the old adage goes, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, or hopefully you can make him drink, but and you have to figure out, how best to do that, how best to get them to say yes, and to get them to do what you need them to do to get started. So there is that. This also sets the tone for the relationship, and what that's going to look like. Because particularly in my world of business and marketing optimization coaching, the relationship is everything, because you are working shoulder to shoulder with these people. You are not doing it all for them. You should not do it all for them. If you are a business who thinks they want that, trust me, you don't. You want somebody working with you. And there are various schools of thought that go back and forth on that. And I guess it's different for every situation. I mean, you don't want somebody working with you doing SEO, but you know what? You kind of need them that way. Redesigning our website for pluginbusiness.net and pluginbusiness.com was much more of an interactive process. Developing ads with Black Sky Digital is an interactive process. You want that done with you. You do not want to hand it to somebody. I don't care what they offer. And those of you who do offer, do it all for you types of things. I mean, I can have some difference of opinion on this. I think it should be done with you. That is the absolute best way to do this. Why? Because you get buy-in. You create a relationship. You create and that works in a lot of ways. When things don't go quite as planned, you analyze together what happened and whose role it is in it. You don't want somebody not participating and then just blaming it all on you. How many times has that happened to you all, digital marketers? I think it has. It certainly happened to me. So you set the foundational roles there. This is why conversions matter, because when you get them to say yes, you're establishing that relationship. You're also establishing the revenue potential here. You are establishing what they're going to, how much this is going to do for you. Every situation's a little different, so you need to be flexible in what that looks like. But if you're establishing that revenue and you have your model set up, there are different things that you can do to make it worthwhile for that customer, to get them to say yes, and have different ways and different methods that are still within your parameters, still making you money, still not where you're not giving away the farm. But you can offer them sometimes a bit of grace, and have a situation that looks on its face like you're really, you're really trying hard to make it work for them. And it's not that you're not, you certainly are, but you have a lower tier set up where you have something in between, and you have the flexibility to truly make a deal that benefits everybody. So that's the impressive part about that. But it does set the roles, to make all of that happen. And so it's very, very important to ensure that that you set that revenue precedent, but also that this builds into the point before, where you're building that foundation as well. So let's see here. There we go. Let's do that. Oh, I love playing with this thing. All right, so let's talk about our first one up here, the compelling offer. Yes, you know it, you love it. You've seen a lot of it. Okay, so this is, of course, the offer that is so inside somebody's head, that speaks their language so much that they would be an idiot to turn it down if they really truly needed it. That offer's so good, they should not be able to pass it up. Okay, so that's important. So you have to ask yourself these questions when you're doing this. Who do you help? Okay, who is the target audience? Because that target audience is extremely important to the offer. You have to be able to know who they are, to know who you're speaking to. Even if you change it later, on a different campaign, that's fine. The whole idea of niching down or not niching down. But certainly the more dialed in you can be, at least on a campaign level, that you're reaching out to a certain group for a time period, if you don't want to niche down, is still important, because you get to customize your messaging for them. When you're reaching out to health folks, maybe you want to You want to say things that resonate with them that they oftentimes say to their customers because they're very similar. I've drawn those parallels a lot in dealing with health folks, because this is what we do for businesses. This is what JKL Works does for businesses. The very same things they're doing for their patients, and they're bringing them back to full health. And it's a journey back through, just like what we do for a business, right? So the second thing is, what do you offer to them? That's the second question you got to ask. And so it's not just the obvious. There's a duh. I get it. So you offer them services. Okay. No, get more specific than that. Get more granular than that. And make sure that you are really dialing that into something that they want, truly want, not that you want for them, that they actually need. You got to have that. They have to have that need, or it doesn't matter what your offer is, they're not going to buy. And then the next question then is how will you provide it? Okay. How will you provide these services? And what does that look like? Is that, 30 days, 90 days, 6 months? Obviously the shorter the better, but not always. Is it a one and done type of thing where you just come in for a time and then you step back out, right? And then how will you manage risk is the next question, because we talked a lot about that the last time with Chris. Is that how can you stand out by managing risk, by having a guarantee, by making sure that doesn't get lost in the weeds ever at all? So that's an important question you have to ask. So when you're putting together your offer, these are the different questions that you should be answering. Who is my target audience? Who am I working this to? What am I offering them? And then how will I provide that service, and how will I manage the risk? So I left this up on purpose because there's a formula down here that perhaps many of you were looking at. So it's the name of the program. Helps who? Okay, back to the question above. Transformation. Then the time frame, without the things they don't want, but at the end it's guaranteed. So this would look something like JKO, our profit work system helps wellness businesses double their profit within 90 days without ads and high price things, guaranteed. So you can fill in your own space there. Save this formula and use it when you're coming up with your offer, because this is the thing. There's a couple of big components here. It talks about who you're offering it to, the transformation that you're offering, and then finally it's the things that they don't want, the things that have been barriers and obstacles to saying yes. So you want them out of the way. And then the last part that really seals the deal is the guaranteed part, and that you have a guarantee. And if you don't have a guarantee, you need to consider getting one, because it's getting harder and harder to stand out on, unless you just have millions and thousands and thousands of great reviews that are current and that are just unbelievably glowing. That will help you a lot. And I don't want to discount that for a second, but the guaranteed part makes a big difference. Risk reversal makes a big difference. Okay. So now let's talk about drip campaigns. So there's a couple of uses of this. So what it is, a drip campaign, for most of you know, but just in case, drip campaign is for, this is a sequence of emails, text messages, or direct messages that are around, they have to do with, a certain, say somebody you're trying to get them to book a call with you, or they've already booked a call with you, and then they're bringing that back. So this does have, I'm kind of jumping the shark a little bit. How would you use it? Well, you'd use it in a couple of different ways, either as prospecting tool, which I was discussing with somebody recently. And you can use this as a prospecting tool. This is how a lot of social media prospecting is done. that porch is really short. It's about 5 messages in about 2 weeks, give or take, that you're interacting with these potential clients, trying to get them to say yes. Beyond that, if they're not going to say yes, you just need to put them on the back burner and then send them to a drip campaign, to a different drip campaign, if you have their information or if they got to a point. But you want to be careful with that, because you don't want, and I see this a lot on, say, LinkedIn now, or YouTube, where you all of a sudden like and subscribe something and you start getting blown up with emails. If that's you, be very careful with that, because you'll end up turning off more people who just casually want your stuff. It's one thing if they actually get to a sales call with you, or they actually get a little further in the process. But if you're just starting out with them, don't blow them up, please. You will run them off. But the second part, as far as conversions go, is I think is equally important. That's really why this is here. A drip campaign for somebody who has engaged you already, leading up to perhaps a sales appointment, and then perhaps after the sales appointment, and nurturing them, coaching them all along the way, even before you coach them or work with them, is absolute gold. You can this is so that way it decreases no-shows a lot for appointments. It reminds them who you are and why they picked that, and how and it helps you stand out from the noise. And so there's some very, very cleverly written campaigns that are drip campaigns that will do this and keep you top of mind. So you'd be amazed. And if somebody's life is really busy and chaotic, even though that appointment's 2 or 3 days later, they might forget. And so this keeps you top of mind and gives you the chance to add value before you ever see them. So then when you do see them, they're primed and ready to be closed. They're primed and ready to be set up, and in the best way possible, walked through your process and then closed. Okay, where they will say yes. They know exactly who and what you are. And so the drip campaigns in this sense are magic. Yes, you can keep them on, and this has worked. To be honest, with Black Sky, that's kind of how I was over prospected by everybody offering stuff. And it was only the very end of their drip campaign that had a presentation with it that I stopped and watched for whatever reason. And that's where it happened. That's where I discovered what the difference was. That's where I discovered, what really made them stand out and actually made me circle back and make that call. So drip campaigns work, folks. But just if you're prospecting with them, be careful how you prospect them with them. But if you're using them for follow-up, for keeping them front of mind, they're absolutely brilliant, and they will help your conversions as you get closer to that time. And because then you will have, they allow you to set your client up for success, your prospect up for success, to become a client. So they know exactly who and what you are before they ever get to you. And there's so many other ways you can use these afterwards, just to keep people informed and communicating. Or with leads that don't work out, you can still say somewhat presence of mind, though you'll need to, keep it to a little bit more of a dull roar, but it's still an opportunity to stay in front of them. So drip campaigns are outstanding ways to increase those conversions, right? So let's talk about customer reactivation. And so most of us watching probably know what this is, and the many, many names it goes by: database reactivation, customer win back, you name it. So there is certainly a time when you're looking to boost transactions that you reach out to existing customers, and we'll talk about that at another time. This is for the prospects that didn't bite. So you have your drip campaign over here, where it is working, it's keeping you front of mind for that prospect who got a little farther in the process, but just didn't say yes, or was a no-show, or wasn't ready, or whatever the reason is. So you've been dripping them for a while there, and that's perfect. Now, the customer reactivation side comes along, and this can be used to make a difference there, where then you start a very short campaign that you reach back out to them and you start making that happen. So who's this for? This is, what is it? This is the sending of messages, email or SMS. In rare cases, you can do social media DMs, but I'd be careful with that. And I'd be careful with text messages too, honestly, unless they've definitely gotten to a certain point in your life that it's not going to be a problem and you can send them text messages. In this day and age, everybody's over SMS'd. So you got to be careful with that. But yet email goes into a pigeonhole and never to be seen again sometimes, unless you just have an amazing way of standing out. So sometimes even a combination of both isn't the worst thing in the world. And so you can use them to reactivate these prospects and maybe give you another shot with a special offer, with a unique to them offer, with something that is impressive of value that leads back to you that they want. So let's talk about some do's and don'ts. One of them is, like I said before, be careful with the text messages. It's not that you don't use them, but be careful how many and how often you text different people, because it can be problematic depending on where you are and depending on the situation that you find yourself in, right? So there is that. Second thing, these should be no longer than 2 weeks and about 5 engagements. So every 2 to 3 days, so you don't really, pester them to death, and they end up really shutting you off. But it should be generally well written, but no longer than 2 weeks, no longer than those 5 outreaches. You can have less. You can have 3 if you wanted to, but 3 to 5 outreaches is about the limit that people will tolerate, particularly prospects. It's one thing if they're customers and they're already used to you, you get a little more grace then. But if they're prospects that did not bite, yeah, you need to keep it on the lower end of those offers, and get some help writing how these different messages are going to go. Run them by somebody else, even if you know exactly what you're doing and exactly what you want to offer. Sometimes there are tricks of reading things out loud, and there are tricks of somebody else reading it. And well, just you read something out loud. Sometimes that's the simple way to do it, but you'd be amazed what you can find out just by reading something out loud that on paper seems to make sense. Your mind glosses over it, but when you read it out loud, it sounds really goofy. So you don't want to do you want to read it out loud, and then you want second or third opinion on making sure that is the voice and the offer that you want to portray. Okay, so that's some cool things, but this is a fantastic way to reactivate some old prospects and maybe get them to say yes this time if the offer is right, or if they're in a different place. This is probably not as good as the transaction boost coming from current customers, but you never know. This could reactivate and revitalize, prospects that have just fallen away or not been followed up with, or, any number of things, or maybe they're in a different place, or maybe your offer is different. It's a great way to do that and to add that along. So, all right. So that's all a part of the process that I've been mentioning here. We talked first about foundations and all the different strategies, and there's more that are actually not on this page, but this is the one we kind of commonly get to. Then we talk about increasing leads, more leads. What are the strategies for more leads? These are all the different strategies that we can try for you, that we can use with your help. This is done with you around here for JKO Works' sake. And all the different things we can offer. Then we go to where we're at now, which is the more conversions. It's the green down here. And you see all the different strategies. We're going to combine some of those in a few minutes and really finish that off. Because the script kind of goes to what I was talking about before, is get somebody else to read it out loud, make sure it says exactly what you want to say. Later, we're going to talk about how to get more transactions, how to get more cash coming in from the customers you already have. And finally, we're going to talk about more profits and how to increase that. These are the 5 core pillars that we look at. Inside are all the milestone strategies that are here that we can try any number of different ones to fill in what you need for your business to be successful. This is how we do this, and this is how we achieve what we call real business life change. Now, the process we go through for that is here. We start sometimes with a strategy session. If you have some specific questions you want answered before getting started, it's like 22 minutes. It's and we take that time to really, to ask those questions, to get to know each other, to see if we're a good fit before anything ever starts, if I can talk. And I learned to talk in that process. It's amazing. Okay, so then what we would like to do, what powers all of these different strategies, and which one of these will be the best for you, is what we call a success blueprint, or a digital success blueprint. This is our roadmap, not only that we create for you, but we create for ourselves. This is for your business, so we know which strategies are going to work, which strategies based on the audiences you want to reach, based on what you offer, based on where you're located, based on a lot of factors. This is where we can work that out, where it is, and so we have a success blueprint that's for a business with an actual local location, whether or not you see customers. If you're serving a local area, that's for you. The digital success blueprint is for the online folks, who that's all they are, is online. And so they could potentially market themselves anywhere in the world. And so that's, for them, is something a little bit more in depth. It's different. It's strategies. Some of the strategies are the same. Some of them are different because those are more uniquely poised to work with online, and a local business just doesn't need them. So we go through that with you. That is yours to keep. It is free to do, and it's at least the base version, and it's the way we start out. Now we offer more in-depth, deeper dive blueprints later on, and with all of them, those do cost something, but they're also a lot more in-depth. You get to see everything laid out, and then it's yours to keep, regardless of what you do with us. Both any of the blueprints are yours to keep and to hang on with, and to apply to your business. But it's our hope that you somewhat decide, you see us with our hand up over here, and you decide to say yes to letting us come alongside you, working with you, shoulder to shoulder, not doing this for you. You don't want us doing this for you in your business, but we don't want to leave you by yourself and think that, it doesn't matter. This is another one of those programs that is just, it's all training and good luck, it's and nothing else to offer. So we do the ProfitWorks implementation system. Our ProfitWorks system is walking the blueprints out based on the roadmaps that we offer. So we offer that. We have our Success Academy that we bring in. It is DIY learning, but it's extra. It's done. It's brought in as an extra piece in case you want to go find out something that you're too embarrassed to ask. You can go look at that at any time. It is very in-depth. It goes through all these same strategies. It lays everything out. It breaks them all down for you, and plus a whole lot more that we don't necessarily cover. Some of the things are mindset issues. Some of the things are just deeper dives into what we may or may not have time for. But that's the value of the Success Academy. It's awesome for that reason. So really worth checking out. Now, there's a couple of different ProfitWorks options we can do here. We have the regular ProfitWorks. It is an hour a week of your time. You should spend 2 or 3 more in addition of doing non-business I'm not talking about, making sales, doing sales calls, paying bills, none of that. You should spend 2 to 3 hours in addition on your business every week of figuring out ways to grow it. And then we take an hour with you as well to make that happen. So you're loaded up, and your business is getting tremendous focus as it grows and evolves. But for those who aren't ready for that, maybe they just want a sounding board. Maybe they just want a trusted advisor. We already are that with the ProfitWorks, but the ProfitWorks Jumpstart is that thing for its lower key. It's paid annually. and it is brought into it is 15-minute unlimited sessions. So unlimited 15-minute sessions, as many as you want to book. And so the cool thing about that, we work through all the strategies, or most of the strategies that you see here, not all of them, but many of them. But if you don't want that or don't need that, and you're at a better, then use us as a sounding board. Use us as an idea starter. Use us as a way to, okay, I'm thinking about doing this. What are the pros and cons? Okay, here's the pros and cons. And that way you can bring that up in a situation where you're not bringing it up to an employee and causing a worldwide panic in your company just because you have an idea that you think you would want to try. So we're a great sounding board for that. I do a lot of that. It's what I enjoy. So that's where ProfitWorks Jumpstart makes a big difference. If any of this interests you at all, then start your journey with us at the strategy session if you want at strategy.jklworks.com, or go ahead and book your success blueprint. You can find all of that at our website, jklworks.com. And we talk about that, and you can book the blueprint from there, or you can scroll down and there's a calendar link right there, and you can book your own strategy session. So thanks for letting me have the commercial there a little bit. So if that's something that you think you're ready for, or if you're a business that truly there's some bad uses of the word collaboration in sales, guys, I'm here to tell you, you need to stop doing it. People that say they're collaborations, what they really mean is you give them money for, and they give you services, maybe. So that's not a collaboration, guys, just so you know. But that's starting to be out there. This, however, is a collaboration. And if you decide that you're ready for it on some level, book a strategy call. See if this is a good fit for you. See if this is something that makes a difference. So we can talk about what that looks like. So now let's get to the last couple of points here about increasing your conversions, because this is something that we will talk about all along the way. And so, all right, let's talk about sales process and sales closing and how that can matter. Okay. So a couple of different strategies here. Well, first of all, this is not a strategy. This should be a given, that because we talked about it in the beginning in policy, when we talked about policies and procedures for things. You should have a sales process. That sales process should be documented. It should not be in somebody's head alone. It should be out somewhere for your group to have access to, particularly the salespeople, but maybe more. So everybody understands what happens when and what is the time frame. Then I just went through my sales process on this. Okay. So you should have a sales process as well. And so that's extremely important, because as at what point how are you prospecting in general? Once the prospects come in, what happens to them? Are they getting, drip campaign? Are they, brought in? Were they brought in through customer reactivation? Notice I'm throwing all these in here, guys. They're coming after your compelling offer. So sorry, I could mix a few of those more in. But at some point, you will get to the concept of, okay, they are in the sales call with you, be it strategy call, be it a success blueprint type of situation. At some point, you're going to want to ask for the sale. So when you ask for the sale, what does that look like? That is closing the sale. That is, you have prepped them all up. You have explained who and what you are. You have given them the offer that they cannot refuse. They just cannot pass up. And at some point, no matter what their answer is, unless they just stop you and say, yes, I'm done, let's do it. If you hear yes, then stop. It's advice I got a long time ago when I was trying to convince somebody of something, and I was a young person in business, and I was selling it hard, and during the course of that, I missed the yes answer, and until one of my mentors who happened to be in the meeting stopped me and said, "John, you heard yes. Stop selling. Stop talking." So, it's just one of those humiliating lessons that we all have to learn at some point. So that is closing the sale. But if you don't hear that, then your process should be such that you're trying to get a close out of them. You're trying to get them to say yes, preferably when they are in that call at some point. And so that is the initial close rate. And so what we work on are, and what you can think about, and there's a lot of material about, if you don't want us, is the working on the initial close rate. How do we get them to say yes faster? How do we work that offer in such a way that is just irresistible? And you're so engaging as a person, as a salesperson, that they just say that you try to increase that number for which they will say yes, right away. But there are some times, and there are some situations, as many salespeople will tell you, and you start talking about either objections, or you talk about any number, or they have to consult with somebody, which is unfortunately a lot of times the ones that legitimately they do have to consult with somebody get mixed in with the I'm just trying to blow you off. So yeah, I got to go talk to somebody. Yeah, sure, I do. So then the follow-up is just as important for doing that. So that's the follow-up close rate. Whenever you do meet those objections, or you have a second call, or you have an opportunity, or you have a free trial of something, if you offer software, then that is the chance for you to then close that sale. And both of these are important, and both of these can happen. And just because it goes from the initial close to you have to have a follow-up, does not mean it's a no. Sometimes it's, like I said, sometimes it's a free trial. Sometimes it's a whatever else. And so that's why you work on both. You work on the initial and you work on the follow-up, because they're both extremely important to that process, to that sales process. That's why they're all pointing together, because right here in the middle, both of these bottom two are important to that sales process. They are crucial to that sales process, in fact. Okay. So maybe you feel comfortable doing this. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to think about a sales team. Maybe you want to think about what that team could look like. So let's talk about a sales team for a second, because sometimes they can look just a little bit different, and that can be a good thing, and that can be okay. And it's not necessarily what you would think of as going and hiring employees. Perhaps there's a whole group out there that are sort of closers for hire, and this is really going to depend on how this fits into your sales process. So whether or not you would do something like that, what's your sales team composed of? Is it just you? Do you have a dedicated sales team? Do you have somebody who's a partner that's outstanding at sales? Or have you hired somebody to come in and make those, and that's actually an employee to make those for you? Or have you outsourced that in such a way that some of these are closing your sales, depending on what it is you offer, and what the potential is for that, and whether or not that's working. And if it's not working, how can we make adjustments? That's sort of the thing. So, it's who is important. So who is on this sales team is very important. Who is comprised? Are they somebody you trust? Are they somebody who has some authority to make deals? Is there some flexibility there? Have you built that in such a way where there's sort of a continuum of price that they know they can stay in, and so that gives them the flexibility to make deals? Or do you not want them doing that? My thing is one price. My product or service is one price, and that's it. They're either going to buy it or they're not. And so there could be a place for that. So I'm not going to, cast dispersions on it, because it could very well be the way that is. And the final thing is, are you equipping your sales team with the tools they need to get the result you want? Are you equipping them in such a way that it is, that it's a good thing, that it is, definitely that they have everything that they need? Whether or not they have flexibility, that's not always sometimes not having flexibility is okay. But do they have all the tools? Do they have all the presentation? Do they have everything they need to not only present accurately who and what you offer, who you are and what you offer, but do they have the tools then? What happens if these people say yes? What happens, and can we document some of these processes? If they say no, not right now, is there any method to figure out why and what their big holdup? It's probably price, but one never knows. Sometimes there's other reasons that just don't work. Sometimes you're just overflung. So yeah, it's these are different things that you have to think about when thinking about your sales and your sales team and your sales process, like we talked about before here. But your sales, you need the process so your team can follow this, and they can be aware of what's going on. So that's our quick dive into how to increase your conversions and the different things to think about. We think about all these things when we're doing success blueprints. We think about all these things when we're recommending strategies for you to try, and different things that could happen. So I hope that was somewhat beneficial for you. And I hope it was a big difference maker. We have more coming up. We're working through all of those strategies that you saw, and taking an opportunity to sort of break a lot of them down in ways you might not have thought of. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks again for watching. We will talk to you next time. See you later.